Welcome. This is Screen Singer, um, and I'm here with more Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments. My Xbox is having a weird issue right now where achievements aren't popping. It won't even let me look at the game hub. I've had this happen with other games before. Sometimes they'll just like all pop randomly when I'm not even on my Xbox. Like I'll get them on the Xbox app for Windows 10. It'll just pop up and say I got them. So originally, I wasn't going to play this because I wanted to wait and see what happened, but screw it. If I have to replay the game on my own time, then I have to replay it on my own time. If I feel like streaming it, so I'm going to go ahead. So let's start on Case 4, the Abbey Grange affair.
Come. The game is afoot, not a word. Into your clothes and come. I'll wait for you in the sitting room. I've just received a note from Inspector Lestrade, a letter from the suburbs. He is in need of my presence. Whenever he has asked for my assistance, it has always turned out to be entirely justified. I fancy that every one of his cases has found its way into your collection.
Yes, they all seem worthy of...
However, I regret your fatal habit of looking at everything from the point of view of a story instead of a scientific exercise.
Oh, Holmes, you...
I beg your pardon, I digress. It would be much better to examine this letter than to try to convince you.
That woman is still there. It's remarkable. Letter, where is it? Hi, Toby.
The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should take a look.
I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts.
Is he eating a shoe? Yeah, looks like it.
The letter is on the table, Holmes.
I can tell from Lestrade's handwriting that he was in a hurry when he wrote this letter. A wax seal with the monogram E.B.
Okay.
The Brackenstall family coat of arms.
My dear Mr. Holmes. Oh, Abbey Grange. 3:30 a.m. I should be very glad of your immediate assistance in what promises to be a most remarkable case. It is something quite in your line. Except for releasing the lady, I will see that everything is kept exactly as I have found it, but I beg you not to lose an instant, as it is difficult to leave Sir Eustace there. Yours faithfully, Inspector Lestrade. Okay.
So, what is it, Holmes?
Promising, as always, it appears to be a case of murder.
So you believe that Sir Eustace is dead?
I should say so. Lestrade wouldn't have sent for me for less. His writing shows considerable agitation, and he is not an emotional man. These people belong to high society. The quality of the writing paper, the E.B. monogram, their coat of arms. The crime was committed before midnight.
Holmes, how can you possibly tell?
Well, it is all thanks to Lestrade. He wrote his letter at 3:30 in the morning. Imagine the chain of events before that. The local police had to be called in. Scotland Yard was notified. Lestrade himself had to make haste there, and finally compose the letter he sent to me. All of that makes for a fair night's work.
It makes sense. Lestrade also speaks of the woman he released.
That seems to indicate that she had been held somewhere during the crime. Much time has been wasted. Let us find a cab and go to Abbey Grange immediately. I live in hope of an interesting morning.
Hold on. I want to change suits. Check The letter from the last case. Colossal scandal in high society. The well-known and remarkable archaeologist, the pride of our nation, Sir Rodney Bentcliffe, has been found murdered. The crime took place at the Roman Baths in Strand Lane, the location of the archaeologist's most recent research. What is most truly shocking is that the murder of Sir Rodney was his former friend and partner, Percival Blinkhorn. The death sentence is the only possible punishment for this breed of villain. Let's see. So this is a pretty well-off family. It's nighttime, so I kind of want to wear my light suit. That should be pretty visible.
My archive. I can always consult with it if needed.
He's kind of messy.
Ah, Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, here you are. I'm very glad that you have come, but perhaps I should not have troubled you after all.
And why is that?
Lady Brackenstall has come to her senses, and she has given so clear an account of the affair that there is not much left for us to do. You remember that Lewisham gang of burglars?
What, the three Randalls?
Exactly. The father and two sons. It's their work. They stole a silver service, which is of great value.
Sir Eustace Brackenstall is dead, then?
Yes. His head was knocked in with his own poker.
A violent act of aggression.
Yes, the poor lady. She has had a most dreadful experience. She was assaulted and tied to a chair. But I think that you would best see her and hear her account of the facts. She's in the morning room with her maid, Teresa Wright.
Where is the body of the deceased?
In the dining room. We haven't touched anything.
All right, I'm going to examine it.
Very good, Watson.
The details on their faces in this game are just
Lady
fantastic.
Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
Sir Warthen Brackenstall. Lord Brigham Brackenstall. Lord Ramsay Brackenstall. Lord George Brackenstall. Ladies, allow me to introduce myself. My name is
Oh, wow.
Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting Inspector Lestrade in this investigation.
Mr. Holmes, I am the wife of Sir Eustace Brackenstall. We were married only a year ago.
I am sorry for your loss. Please accept my deepest condolences.
I suppose that it is no use my attempting to conceal that our marriage has not been a happy one. I fear that all would tell you that, even if I were to attempt to deny it.
Can you describe to me the events of yesterday evening?
Is it really necessary? I have already told Inspector Lestrade all that happened.
Yes, madam, it is.
I will tell you then. Sir Eustace retired about 10:30. I sat in this room until after 11, absorbed in a book. Before I went upstairs, I entered the dining room to fetch a candle and... oh God.
Please, go on.
As I approached the French window, I found myself face to face with an elderly, broad-shouldered man who had just stepped into the room. Close behind the first man, I saw two others. One of them struck me a savage blow with his fist and felled me unconscious to the ground.
And then?
When I came to myself, I found that they had secured me tightly to a dining room chair. It was at that instant my unfortunate husband entered the room.
He fought with the intruders?
Yes, I think he had hurt them, for he was holding his stick. But they were three, and he eventually succumbed. One of them, the elder one, struck him a terrible blow with the poker. I fainted once more. When I opened my eyes, they had withdrawn. Then my brave Teresa came to my assistance.
Did these three villains steal anything?
Yes, I found that they had taken the silver from the sideboard, but you can see for yourself in the dining room.
Says Australian origin. She really doesn't sound Australian to me.
You mentioned that your marriage was not a happy one. Was there anything specific that was troubling you?
He was not a nice man when he was drunk, and he suffered from dark moods, but nothing else.
The bruises on your hands are at least 1 week old. Your husband caused those bruises?
Oh, do you? Yes, he did. He was very angry at the time. Out of control. Again. Sir Eustace was a drunkard. To be tied to such a man for life is worse than death.
Your ladyship?
Oh, what a horrible thing to have happened.
Nice dog painting.
Teresa, I would like to hear your testimony.
Certainly, sir. As I sat by my bedroom window, I saw 3 men in the moonlight down by the lodge gate. But I thought nothing of it at the time. Oh, if I'd known.
And then?
I went to bed, and it was more than an hour after that I heard my mistress scream. And down I ran, to find her tied to the chair and him on the floor with his head smashed. That's all I know.
Check those portraits. I don't really check these enough. Not quite 25, is from a wealthy Australian family. She's been married for a little more than a year. She has, in all probability, suffered physical violence over the course of the last fortnight. The lady lives a solitary lifestyle, seldom venturing outside. Teresa is very attached to her mistress and has known her for a considerable time. She is the only resident servant at the Abbey Grange, cooking for, serving, and nursing Lady Brackenstall. She would not hesitate to protect her in the event of any trouble.
This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid Teresa was taken at a port, but which one? So the lady and her maid came from Australia a year and a half ago on this ship.
Yet they really don't sound Australian to me. Family business booming, the Randall gang is back on the street. Less than a fortnight ago, this infamous family of burglars, the Randalls as they are known, made their reappearance by way of a brutal but successful intrusion into one of the wealthier homes in Sydenham. The police are already on their trail, however, the details of the crime are being kept confidential, including that of the name of the victim. A witness was able to provide a precise description of all three men, and this will surely give the police a chance to complete their profile on this family of delinquents. We would take the liberty of reminding our esteemed readers about this highly dangerous band, and provide the full description as it is available at this moment. The gang has been in business for some considerable time, being a family of three, a father and his two sons. The elder, Jack Randall, is a man in his 40s and already gray-haired, while of average height and build. Being the mastermind behind the burglaries, he retains control over his sons, both of whom are close in age, very different in appearance. The first son, William Randall, is tall and broad-shouldered, with a small, disproportionate head. The younger brother, Melvin Randall, is of a somewhat weaker constitution and is as skinny as a rake. This gang is wanted not only for their frequent thefts and break-ins, but for the exceptionally brutal pirate career they enjoyed before returning to England. Be alert, and may your valuables stay safe.
The description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article.
Let me use this.
These scratches are most definitely made by the picture frame. This is Sir Eustace's safe. There may be something important inside. I must ask Lady Brackenstall to open it. Lady Brackenstall, could you open this wall safe?
No, it is my husband's safe. I do not know the combination.
We have to open it. Your ladyship?
My mistress is very tired. Can't you allow her to her room?
I want to connect violent behavior to From Australia, but I can't imagine that being a thing. Robbery was faked and the whole story invented in order to blame Sir Eustace's death on the Randalls, or the testimonies and evidence match and point to the Randalls. Definitely too early to tell on that one. I can just try to open it.
Let us try to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
Interesting that it doesn't really matter if you go to the right or the left. Maybe it does, because I don't seem to be getting anywhere with this last one.
It is common practice to keep one's valuables in a safe behind a painting. It should not really pose a challenge for a criminal. Antique coins, possibly of value, but they're scattered without care.
Sir Eustace, your current physical and mental state is of great concern. There are several signs of a hepatic decompensation. The last time that we met, your eyes were bloodshot and your skin was tinged with yellow. There's a particular odor from your breath that is common in those suffering from liver damage. I didn't know that changed your breath. Then there are the lung abscesses that we have discussed. The leg cramps you have described to me are caused by an alteration to the nervous system, which in turn is caused by an excess of alcohol. That includes the tremors. Your liver seemed excessively hard at the time of your examination, which is a sign of an evolving cirrhosis. There are also signs of ascites, fluid in the peritoneal cavity, which are evident with your swollen stomach. The pain beneath your left rib indicates a pancreatic malady, which may lead to fatal and fulminant pancreatitis. Your condition may pose a risk to others. Your excessive alcohol consumption lowers your self-control and heightens your aggression. I am available to help you with this problem. There are a number of treatment options. Actually, back then, I don't think they really knew what to do for alcoholics. I think they put them in asylums. Hell, I think it was even long after this takes place, they were putting them in asylums. Like, up until the 1930s, that was all people really knew what to do for them for the most part.
Oh, what a horrible thing to...
Thought I'd see if I can talk to either of them about the report.
Sir Eustace's doctor speaks of his violent behaviour.
Yes, Sir Eustace was an extremely violent man. A detestable human being, to be more precise. It is true that he once threw a decanter at me, and all because I dared to stand up to him in defence of my mistress. Sly devil. God forgive me that I should speak of him so now that he's dead, but a devil he was, if ever one walked the earth. We met him only 18 months ago. She'd only just arrived in London. Yes, it was her first voyage. She'd never been from home before. Wonder with his title and his money and his false London ways. If she made a mistake, she has paid for it, if ever a woman did. She doesn't have any friends here, so it was specially hard for her.
I think I'm done in here. She sounds a little more Australian. I mean, I have trouble telling the difference, but her O sounds sound more Australian to me than Lady Brackenstall's.
What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober, but an absolute demon when he was drunk. In such moments he was apparently capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel on Lady Brackenstall's dog and set it alight. Another day he threw a decanter
Holy
of wine
crap.
at Miss Wright's head.
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
You
To the
think?
point that we were forced to intervene several times to avoid a scandal.
He set a dog on fire.
The
Just
body
let
is
the
still in
scandal
dining
happen.
room where the murder took place.
Alright, let me check a couple things real quick. First... where's that picture? Okay, Rock of Gibraltar, 1893. So this seems to take place around 1894, because that's the second thing that took place in 1893, and they said, she's been married probably around a year. So the inspector's tale lines up with violent behavior. violent towards his wife. No shit. And, was identified. Her personal life. She seldom went out. It was commonly known that she had no social life. So acquainted with a sailor, she could know someone from the Rock of Gibraltar, or she married Sir Eustace shortly after arriving in England and remained at home during that time. There is little possibility that she or her maid are acquainted with anyone in the country. All right. Time to inspect the body.
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
Well, I can confirm that the death was instant. Sir Eustace was facing his attacker when he received the blow to his head. There are no other apparent injuries.
Didn't they say they punched him, though?
A
I could have
fur
sworn that's
trader's
what she
cabin.
said.
A decanter standing next to the open bottle, an inseparable pair indeed. Chateau Calon Ségur, French wine, Grand Cru. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. There is beeswing at the bottom, as if the wine had not been decanted before being poured. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. It is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other two are clear.
No idea what that has to do with anything, but okay.
The head was cracked with the force of the blow. That must be the murder weapon. Quite a large stick, a formidable weapon. Barefoot, he had therefore been in bed and did not have time to fully dress.
We had time to put suspenders on?
It is covered in blood. Sir Eustace might have struck his head upon it while falling from the blow. That is one possible explanation.
Right, it wants me to make some deductions. Connect the body to the poker, first of all. And can also connect it to the fireplace grate. So I've got a couple things to look at here. Poker blow. The death of Sir Eustace could have been due to a poker blow, or the death of Sir Eustace could have been due to his accidentally striking his head on a fireplace grate. Why would they cover that up with a fake story, though, if that were true? It also wants me to use the talent according to that one.
It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me.
Yeah, I can also connect these two. I missed that earlier. are 3 people drinking wine out of these glasses. One of the 3 probably prefers wine with beeswing. Or there were 2 people drinking. The remaining glass consisted solely of the dregs from the other 2 glasses. That second option had any. Actually, neither of those options occurred to me. I thought that maybe one of them was just poured later than the other 2.
Sailor's knots. That's interesting. This rope was handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail. I will
Oh,
take it with
please
me.
tell me I'm gonna get to use Toby for something. That's awesome.
This is the chair that Lady Brackenstall was tied to.
She mentioned something being taken from here.
This candlestick is valuable. It is interesting that it was not also stolen. These wine bottles are expensive and mostly from France. A bottle of wine is missing here.
It's probably the one on the table.
An empty silverware box. It appears that the intruders have stolen it. The criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware.
Well, that's definitely strange.
The death was instant.
A trapper's hut. A trapper's hut.
I guess Lestrade got bored and left. Oh no, there he is.
I've searched outside for footprints without any luck.
Please leave my Mary alone. She suffered so much, she deserves some rest.
There are 3 glasses on the dining room table. I was wondering if...
Oh, I forgot. When I came to myself the first time, each of them had a glass in his hand. They might have been a father and his 2 sons. They talked together in whispers, and then they left.
Your ladyship?
Okay, well I'm gonna need to use Toby, so let's go to Baker Street. I think it also said... Not entirely sure what I was gonna say. Examine it first.
Let us see how the rope was cut. The fibers at the end of the rope are smoothly cut. Let us try to find out what tool was used to cut the rope. The fibers from this cut appear to be different.
Yeah, they widened out, which isn't entirely surprising.
The fibers from this cut appear to be different.
Is the knife the only other thing here?
If I cut the rope with a knife, it matches the original.
Okay. It's me to make a deduction. These are pretty easy to figure out what it wanted me to. The rope was cut once with a sharp knife and tied quickly in sailor's knots. That could indicate that the intruder had a sailor's background. Right? Toby!
Come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case. I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts.
Right. Got Toby with me. Let's go back. Oh, look at him. So cute. I'm glad that you actually get to use them for something in this game.
Search, Toby.
Oh my god, you actually get to play as Toby. The trail kind of disappear right here. Oh, it goes over here. He pants faster when he runs. I like that they have subtitles for woof woof.
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware. The scent leads to the well. I should check it.
Goes behind the well, too. So he's not actually checking these things. I think I'm just figuring out what I have to do when I regain control of Sherlock.
The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to the shed, then across to the well, before fleeing by climbing over the wall. I wonder why they chose such a winding route. This hook might be useful. Small gardening tools, nothing of great interest. This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty. Bags of seed. Some empty bags were recently moved.
How does he know they were recently moved? To the well.
There's something glittering at the bottom there, but how can I reach it? The wheel handle is old and rusty. It seems to be used infrequently. Silverware. This is hardly a coincidence. The Brackenstall coat of arms. It appears that we have found the stolen silverware.
Oh, I have an introduction. Well, these are the only two things. So, robbery is confirmed as the motive for the crime. Criminals may have plans to return for the silverware they dumped, or the robbery could have been imitated to explain his death. The silverware was not supposed to be found. Let's see if I can already start reaching conclusions here. So if that were, yeah, those don't go together. Murderous visitor. Sir Eustace was murdered by the one person who was visiting that night. It was he who tied up Lady Brackenstall. He is tall and strong. And since we seem to know that there's a sailor involved, we must look for him. Alright, let's check out the wall real quick.
The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. Brave Toby. The best nose in the British Empire.
It's true. Go back into the house.
Inspector, I have recovered the stolen silverware.
You are a wizard, Mr. Holmes. And where is it?
In the garden well.
Excuse me?
Unique, isn't it?
Rather absurd. What is the point of stealing silverware and then throwing it down into a well?
Perhaps it was used as a temporary hiding place, or simply the thieves wanted to get rid of it. It is up to us to solve this mystery.
Holmes, don't look at me like that. I don't know what to think about all this.
Let's talk to these two.
We found your silverware, Lady Brackenstall. It had not been taken very far.
Is that true? I am very thankful to you, Mr. Holmes.
Your ladyship?
Well, she seems sincere.
We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed.
Oh. Well, as best I can tell, Teresa sounded pretty sincere as well. Look at Toby. Toby's awesome. Big floppy ears. He's like my dog, staring straight at the window. This is like... So last case was my favorite because of all the cool mythology shit, but this case is my favorite just because of Toby.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Need to find a sailor. So... Rock of Gibraltar, 1893. Whoops.
My search must be focused upon the ship's name and year of voyage.
I could have looked at this one in the
My
last...
search must be focused upon the ship's name and year
last
of
case.
voyage.
Cocaine toothache drops. Yeah, newspapers. I don't think I'm ever gonna get to use the encyclopedia or the other archives. Explosion at Combs Pit. That'll come up in another case. Rock of Gibraltar, a bulk carrier from the Adelaide Southampton London line, Cunard Building, James Street, London, has returned from a 6-month voyage through India, New Zealand, and Australia. The ship brought to England Miss Mary Fraser. Hey, that's probably Mary Brackenstall. The heiress of the Fraser family, owning land and tin mines in Australia. This reportedly beautiful young lady that she is presently engaged to Sir Eustace Brackenstall, one of the wealthiest gentlemen in Kent. How'd they meet?
Here it is.
Alright then.
The shipping company, the Adelaide Southampton London line, and its address. Interesting. It must be the place where they keep the records, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you without any problems.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
Oh, he's talking about Wiggins. I just saw the option for him appear on the window.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
What was he doing? Looked interesting.
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
I need a register, my young friend. If you could borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you. I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893 and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
That
Here
didn't
it
take
is,
too
Mr.
long.
Holmes. But we can't take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins.
Put it on the table, you can't just take it from him? God damn. Can I talk to him?
I left it right on the table for you, sir.
See what Watson has to say about all this.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Yeah, he doesn't usually have very much to say at all, does he?
This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor. And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London Line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th.
Okay. So I'm looking for names that appear twice. This one's easy to see because it's right across.
This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved.
Mind? These ones are right across
This
from each other
officer
too.
is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved.
Okay. Not seeing any others.
This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
Okay, so that one's out too. The other name I'm seeing on both lists is this guy.
This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
That's Rock. All right. Crocker's on both.
Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days.
Thomas Walker.
This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer
Cross
is
this
still
one
at
out too,
sea,
I guess.
Therefore he cannot be involved. Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
Man, they couldn't have even given us, like, other options? It's kind of a bummer.
This Crocker, do you think...
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him.
So I guess talk to Wiggins again.
Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Taking some time to load here.
Mr. Holmes?
Alright.
I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
Yes, it is important that we talk. You will soon understand why. You are acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her. From when I was first officer, but I still don't see...
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
How dare you?
Indeed, how reckless a feeling is love, particularly if one is prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but to your dismay, found it much fabricated. Once you learned that I wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You... and what do you know?
That evening, you were with Lady Brackenstall, despite the danger.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Holmes. Besides, all of this is just guesswork.
You would be right if there was no evidence.
What then?
Okay, I guess I have to do his portrait before I can talk about evidence. Okay, so they're saying he seems honest. Oh, he's got a knife. That could have been used to cut the rope, I guess.
Lady Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder. And it was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Sharp. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night?
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Kind of reminds me of the sailor
Holmes,
from the Adventures
should
of
we do-
Tintin.
Would you like to
Captain
check his
Haddock.
alibi?
No, there is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
So, what then?
So, we must work with what we have. We have all the puzzle pieces.
Now I
See?
understand why you dissected the bell rope.
All the puzzle... Is he telling us it's time for the final deduction? If so, this was way shorter than the other cases. What do we have from this? Crocker's involvement? Crocker is lying. His involvement is clear. He appeared as soon as he heard that I was looking for him, thus signaling his guilt. That doesn't seem necessarily true. Crocker was aboard the Sharp on the night of the murder. He was not afraid to confront me. He had a confident demeanor. That's true. It actually said he was, what was it? Honest. Let's see what all the conclusions are. It's alibi. Change this to no acquaintance because we can't prove that. Let's keep that at 2 people. And let's keep that at robbery. Let's change this to deadly accident, because that seems to be the one that's keeping this from... So, domestic accident. The death of Sir Eustace was an accident caused by a struggle with his wife. Absolver. She and her maid committed the crime in self-defense. You decide that there is no point in blaming this poor woman. Or, she and her maid killed Sir Eustace and attempted to cover their crime. They deserve to be treated as criminals. Well, that wouldn't really make it an accident, now would it? Let's see. Change this to 3 people. Probably could have actually picked this one way earlier. Sir Eustace was murdered by the Randall gang. Robbery is confirmed as the motive of the crime. The case is too simple for you. Take this opportunity to give all the credit to your friend Lestrade. Your name will not appear in the press. Or, the speed with which you resolved this thorny problem is indicative of genius. The police naturally only demonstrated their incompetence. Is that condemn or absolve? They both make you sound like an asshole, because one's like, yeah, this is too simple, and the other is like, fuck the police. Alright. I'm actually thinking Crocker did it, so... Because the others just don't seem that likely. He's right that the Randalls doing it is too easy, and there's really no reason... I don't know, it's just hard to believe that Brackenstall would... I don't really want it to be Brackenstall. Let's just say that. I'm not going to condemn a pretty lady. So the captain is the killer. Sir Eustace was murdered by one person who was visiting that night. The murderer is tall and agile and a high-ranking sailor. Absolve him. The murder was committed in self-defense. Jack Crocker defended a woman against a violent and dipsomaniacal man. The mystery is solved, but you decide to keep it secret. There's no need to inform the police. That sounds like the Jack the Ripper case. Or he's a murderer and you will bring him and his accomplice, Lady Brackenstall, to justice. Maybe I will condemn the pretty lady. Sure.
Wiggins, could you ask Mr. Crocker to come here again, please?
Right away.
Probably an hour. Enough about how long this case is, actually.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is over. I know that it was you who killed Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
What?
I know, because of the height at which the rope was cut. The knife used was a sea knife. The knots were sailor's knots, and not least the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
Uh-huh.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
I admit that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household. When I talked to her maid, who told me everything, I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again. But it turned into a damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will forgive me if she is able.
Lady Brackenstall already forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Mr. Holmes.
You would not have managed to protect her.
Till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear, and it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this.
Just barely got it.
You should have let me die. How can I live if Mary suffers?
I am sorry, Captain Crocker, but there has been quite enough death in this case.
Weird that achievement popped. Why haven't any of the others?
Inspector, I give you Sir Eustace's killer. He tried his best to perform his own justice.
Well, I'm not surprised. Yes, it was me. I confess.
Here is a piece of evidence that can be used in court.
Perfect. A case that went smoothly for once.
Sir Eustace was murdered by Captain Jack Crocker, who was visiting Lady Brackenstall that night. They staged it as a robbery by the Randall gang. Crocker used his sea knife to cut the bell rope to tie the lady, and then hid the silverware in the well. He committed a violent crime for which he deserves a condign punishment. I accept that decision. Personality ranking, Law Protector. Well, alright then. And that achievement popped too, but there's still a bunch that haven't. It's very weird. So, that was kind of a short case, but it was a fun one. I am going to go ahead and call this a stream. I might be back later tonight with case 5, but I'm not 100% sure yet. In any case, thank you for joining. This is Screen Singer, and I will see you in the next video.